Warning. Warning.
Just have all these songs in my head. Just gotta get them out. I'm just getting started.
Said you wanna be starting something.
There's no one like you.
Got to be starting something.
This is what I was put on earth to do.
And mother always told me.
I knew you were different the moment you were born. You let your light shine into the world. You are the greatest of all time.
All right, y'all, that was the trailer for Lionsgate's Michael, their biopic for the one and only Michael Joseph Jackson. So this is our review, what we thought, good, bad, and indifferent. So initial thoughts.
I thought it was good. There were some things that obviously aren't factual, but I overlooked those things and just took the movie for what it was, and I think it was a pretty good movie.
Same here. Growing up in the 80s, we both, I can probably speak for you, we were both huge Michael Jackson fans. I probably a little bit more than you. But, yeah, I had the posters.
Me too.
I had no clothes because my mom wouldn't buy me none of the gear.
We couldn't afford it.
Couldn't get no beaded jackets or thriller jackets, but I did have a cousin who impersonated him very well.
I had a glove.
So he had a glove. But yeah, in the 80s, it's hard to describe in today's world just how huge he was in the 80s. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing his face or hearing his music. He was literally what they call the global phenomenon. And it was insane how much of an impact he had on the 80s and into the early 90s.
And with that being said, I'm going to need y'all to stop trying to compare you-know-who to Michael Jackson, because, no, it's just no comparison. Now, you-know-who, I don't say his name right now because we talking about something, but he is good, but he is not Michael Jackson. So let's stop that right now. Wait.
I mean, honestly, they're two different people with two different styles.
You know what I'm talking about?
Who else would you be talking about?
No, I'm talking
I mean, there's only one other comparison to Michael Joseph and...
Are you thinking Prince?
Prince Rogers?
No, I'm talking about somebody a current artist right now who everybody thinks is the greatest of all times. And compared to Michael Jackson, and I'm like, there's no comparison, so stop. Now, this person is good, very good. Good dancer, good singer, all of that.
That boy is good.
But... No, Michael Jackson.
No, we could go there. All right, so I did have a couple of things that I wanted to go through and discuss with you. So we'll go through some of the things that were effectively missing from the movie. First and foremost, what we both noticed while we were watching it is the absence of Janet and Reedy. If you don't know, Janet is the youngest of the group, and Reedy is the oldest daughter.
She the oldest child.
Yeah, she is. She was born first, and then it was Jackie after that, right? Yeah. So Reedy has always been out of the limelight for the most part.
Like centipede.
Yes. And
For those who don't know.
a lot of people in the family and close to the family used to say that Reedy had the best voice, but she chose not to go into that limelight.
She didn't have a bad voice, but Michael had the best voice.
I'm just telling you what
the
word on the street was that Reedy had that voice, but of course,
She had a nice voice, but Michael was
something different.
I don't know. I think it's because of the range. I don't know. He just was good. That boy was good. Okay.
He was something different. He was definitely something different. And of course, everybody should at this point know who Janet is.
She's
her
still
whole
around. She's still doing things.
meteoric career on her own. For someone who was marginally gifted as far as singing goes, but she was a great performer.
Yes, that girl can't sing, but she showed
She can carry a note. She's not a vocalist.
She can't I said sing.
She's not a vocalist, but she could carry
She
a note.
is super talented though.
Yes,
she's
she
amazing.
dance
I love me
her
some
ass
Janet
off.
Jackson.
She could dance her ass off, and that Scream video was like a wet dream for Jackson Phoenix because her and Mike dancing together. I think that was the first time we had ever seen them two perform anything together,
And
to be honest. So yeah, from what I heard, and this is just, word on YouTube, that Janet she chose not to give her or consent to her likeness being in the movie. I think they said she has some beef with Jermaine, and she feels like Jermaine and Jafar are trying to exploit Michael's legacy because Janet and Michael were extremely close, and she doesn't really agree with the movie. That's just what I heard. There's no way for me to know, honestly, because I don't know Janet personally.
but Jen, you can come and sit down with us and talk about it if you want to, girl, because we is always open. We love you.
The door is open if you ever want to talk to two people on YouTube who have very few followers. Anyway.
Anywho.
But yes, Janet and Reby are definitely missing.
You know what else I noticed that was missing? Diana Ross. When I was little, every time we saw Diana, we saw Michael. I used to think that was her son, the way she always carried him around. And I've noticed that she was missing. He got that on his list, and I'm gonna let him talk about it the way that he talk about it. But I'm just saying,
We're gonna circle back to the Diana Ross missing. One other thing that I noticed personally is they didn't mention Randy very much, if at all. Like, they did show the brothers, but I don't think they
didn't mention Tito. They didn't mention.
I mean, no, not by name really, but you got to see all the brothers, but you didn't really get to see Randy too much.
He was on stage.
It was just something that I paid attention to. But we can move on from that. One thing that I think they should have really tried to focus on, because this really did help launch his solo career, is The Wiz.
You can't win.
You can't make it even, and you can't get out of the game.
The Wiz, at the time that it came out, was a huge deal in the Black community. It was our very own Wizard of Oz.
That movie creeped me out.
It was spooky as shit, especially
The subway
the parking lot, the door.
That little subway with the
Yes.
trash cans.
Oh my God, man. But his performance in The Wiz, it not only showed that he's a great singer, but he did actually act very well in that movie. Like, he gave a great performance, much better than Diana Ross, I might add. I'm sorry, but the girl, she couldn't act. She was stiff as a board. But he really did steal the show, and the Cowardly Lion, them two. And then you got Nipsey Russell as the Tin Man. So the other cast was great. Diana, not so much. No shade, Diana. You still a GOAT. But yeah, they should have at least mentioned, because they did a lot of subtle mentioning of things, but they could have actually shown that really did help launch his solo career more so than a lot of other things.
They didn't really say what launched his solo career.
Right,
It was just like one day, he just like, boom, you going solo. You gonna make a solo album.
So, but it's hard. I get it.
It was 2 hours and some minutes long. And that's just half the movie. Yeah. They got to come back and show us the other half to finish out the life. So I understood it. To me, it seemed to focus more on the music than anything than really telling his life story, but more so telling the story of his music.
Yep. So she did mention Diana Ross. So there's two big influences in his musical career that helped guide him into what he became, and that is Diana Ross and, of course, Stevie Wonder, which they got no shout outs in this movie whatsoever.
They did show James Brown to show that he was mimicking James' dance moves.
Yes, because he did everything he did emulate James Brown. And I'm going to circle back to the dancing a little bit later because there was another influence that they did mention. But yes.
Chapman.
No. But yes, Diana Ross and Stevie Wonder, no love in the movie. I think that's criminally insane because you can't really have the early part of his career and not mention those two influences.
Now that I think about it, in the movie, they kept showing him and his mom watching those Charlie Chaplin and that other white man. But they act like that's where he got his dancing from, when it was really James Brown.
It was an influence.
Yeah, but the moves he was doing was definitely not Charlie Chaplin. It was definitely James Brown.
He got something different from Charlie Chaplin. But yeah. So one other thing that I did feel was missing was they didn't really show how slighted he felt with the success or lack thereof of Off the Wall. So when Off the Wall released and it charted, and it did fairly well, but it didn't sell the way he thought it should.
That's because I ain't had no money. I was a little kid.
We had it, and I listened to it pretty much daily.
We did get the album eventually, but I didn't buy it. I didn't have the money.
Well, my dad had it, so yeah. I think it's pretty well documented at this point that he was pretty salty about how
he was pretty
salty.
You said
I said salty.
You said salty, but I remember it's salty.
He was salty as hell about the Off the Wall and not really getting the love that it should have gotten. I personally, at my age now, going back and listening to the albums, I think Off the Wall is his best album. It's the most complete album to me. But, that's an argument for another day. But yes, he was very upset that Off the Wall didn't do as well as he thought it should.
All right, let's go ahead and quickly hit the other things that they got wrong about the movie.
Also wanted to say, they never mentioned why Jermaine left the group. And for those who don't know, Jermaine married Berry Gordy's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And when the Jacksons decided to leave Motown, Jermaine stayed because he had felt loyalty to his father-in-law. So,
they just acted like he just stayed just because they like, well, he made his choice. And they didn't say nothing about him getting a wife or nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, they just kept saying
they kind of just neglected the brothers.
Yeah.
Pretty much like they were just there.
But the movie wasn't about
I get it, but you can't.
I know you can't really tell his story without talking about all of them doggone kids.
Ultimately, it was 10 of them, but
they were there.
One of them died at birth. I think it was Martin Sweet.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, Marlon had a twin that died, so it ended up being 9. But yeah, Kappa gave birth to 10 big head little. So yes.
And then the way that they made it in the movie, Michael got a nose job because they kept calling him Big Nose. All black people got a big nose for the most part. It's what makes us us. And he took his nose too far. The first nose job should have been put the brakes on right there. But then he took it on and on until it was gone. So, yeah, hated the nose.
Yeah. All right. So I did want to mention a couple of things that they got wrong, or they may have altered for a thematic effect. Bubbles should not have shown up as
till 1983.
Yes, they made it seem like Bubbles was there from before Thriller. That's not the case. Tidbit, it's a little nitpick, but for the sake of honesty, Bubbles was there a little too early. They did not get discovered by Susan DePaz. Susan DePaz did play a big influence in their discovery or their, success with Motown, but they were actually discovered by Bobby Taylor. The Victory Tour. One thing that I noticed in the movie that they didn't even really mention the Victory album.
I was wondering if it was one. I couldn't even remember.
Yes, there was a Victory album, if you want to call it that. So, they just jumped straight to the tour, and it was like, okay, well, what are we doing a Victory Tour?
Be a tour. So that's true. What we toured about.
Usually you do a tour when you have a successful album. And, Joe was trying to capitalize on Michael's success at the time. He had the Pepsi deal, and
They're trying to make it like Don King got him the Pepsi deal because Joe went and asked about.
You know, I don't know the validity of that part. I remember hearing rumblings about Joe and Don having some kind of a mashup together. And I think Don may have done the promotion on the Victory Tour, which explains why it was so terrible. I'm sorry.
What's the next thing on your list?
Let's see. Oh, we mentioned this earlier, but the fact that they just glossed over his relationship with his brothers, I didn't like that at all. Like, you couldn't tell my story without my interaction and my relationship with my siblings. And same when you couldn't tell your story without your relationship to your sisters.
They made it like he was the only child of
I mean, basically,
and nobody.
It was Michael and a bunch of other
And
people.
his
in the
mother,
house.
all the time, it was just him and his mama watching TV. None of the other kids ever sat and watched. Just them two eating the popcorn, eating ice cream. The rest of the kids never was invited to the party, which was weird.
I mean, they had one little moment when he showed up with the board game, and they was trying to get some butt. So,
Just one of them. That's true.
he had some butt lined up. He gonna be playing a different type of twist today. Anyway, and then they didn't show. One thing that I did like about Antoine Fuqua's portrayal of Freddie Mercury is they showed different aspects of his personality.
Are you talking about a whole nother movie?
Well, it's the same director.
I know, but you're talking about that other movie.
I know, but what I'm saying is, in that movie, the director decided to show different aspects of Freddie Mercury, and he did not do that with Mike. Like,
There was a lot of other voices in
I mean, it could have been.
gave
It could have
their
been.
opinion on how they wanted it to come to.
They definitely could have been. But they did focus more on the quiet, unassuming nature of Michael and nothing volatile. I think one reviewer even mentioned that he never raised his voice at all in the movie. And I don't know.
I ain't never, I ain't never heard nobody say he raised his voice before.
So, but there was very little turbulence in the movie. It was pretty much smooth sailing aside from when Joe beat that ass. Other than that, I mean, it was kind of a glaze fest, which I don't have a problem with because that's my dope. Anyway, all right, some of the things that they did get right. They did focus on his loneliness, and that's pretty well done.
They did not show him befriending like Emmanuel Lewis.
No, I mean, and that's one of the things that I mentioned, the subtlety. Like they
did show
Gary Coleman.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know that.
So it's like
They
little
showed
Easter
Brooke
eggs.
Shields, and I remember.
So you remember when I told you I thought that was Brooke
I
Shields?
don't think it was.
So there was a scene at one of the concerts. I think it was during this Victory Tour, maybe, or maybe I don't remember what concert it
I
was.
blinked and he said, "Oh, that
But
was Brooke Shields."
there was a girl in the crowd that looked exactly like Brooke Shields.
Now you know Brooke Shields wouldn't have been in the crowd. She'd have been backstage because she was
Again,
famous
they're
back then.
doing Easter eggs. They're doing like little hints and little nuggets.
All right, well they did a bad job with that because I didn't see her.
But there was a girl in the crowd that looked like Brooke Shields, and everybody who came up in the time knew that he took Brooke Shields to the Grammys. Whether they, had a thing or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. His fear of Joseph was pretty well shown in the movie. It's something that he discussed a lot in interviews, most notably his interview with Oprah. He did mention how terrified he was of Joseph.
He said he used to throw up.
Yes. Yep.
But the one thing that was wrong, we forgot, or you didn't put on your list, is that they did not fire Joseph.
Oh, yes, he did not get fired off that.
That was just added for dramatic effects. It was funny as hell, but that's not how it happened.
It was comical because imagine in the 80s, fax machines were brand new, and out of the blue, you just get a fax saying you're fired.
It didn't say that, but
Basically.
All right, so what else did they do?
All right, so they didn't beat you over the head with it, but they did allude to the fact that Joseph abused Catherine.
Yeah, because he
there was a moment.
this finger shaking, I knew what he meant. Shut up,
Right.
I'm coming over there, Catherine. Yeah.
When he first told the boys about the Victory Tour, and Michael protested, and Catherine tried to stand up for him, and he gave her that
I was
Your
scared.
ass up.
I knew he was finna tap on her.
I mean, he was giving Ike Turner vibes for sure.
Yeah, he was. He played that.
Yes. So, Coleman Domingo, you did a good job. I mean, he even looked like Joseph. After at the end of the movie, I couldn't tell the difference. Beat it. He did, in fact, go to L.A. and bring gang members, Crips and Bloods, to the set to participate in the video for Beat It. They did portray that accurately. And he did write and perform Beat It to kind of quell the gang violence. Most people don't know.
I didn't recognize that back in the 80s.
Most people did.
I don't know what he was talking about beating, so I thought he just wanted to fight shit. I think not.
No, he was trying to break up the violence.
He could have been more direct about that, because I don't think...
I mean, he said, beat it. Stop trying to be tough.
Yeah, I didn't get that back in the 80s, but okay, what's the next on your list?
Fred Astaire is the other influence. So one of the things that that they put in for Thriller, but I don't think it actually applied to Thriller, was the showing of the feet, and he got that from the Fred Astaire.
Oh, yeah.
So one thing he said when they were making the video for Thriller was that he wanted them to focus on his feet because...
No, he said to focus on his head to toe. He wanted to...
No, he said he wanted to make sure that his feet were in frame because the dancers, if you're a dancer, you want to focus, you want to make sure people can see your feet. So that's what he did in the Thriller video.
When y'all see it, y'all will know that he said he wanted to see your whole body from head to toe, including your feet.
Anyway, the reality is that he wanted to focus, or he wanted more focus on his feet in real life.
Feet included.
IRL.
Anyway, what's your next?
And last but not least, the fact that he was a very big prankster. So, and one thing that I never noticed before until after we watched the movie, the dude with the bucket hat, Bill, if you go back and you watch the footage, you'll see him. I never noticed that dude before. Never seen him before in my life, and now I can't not see him.
But on tours, so he had one security dude. I'm like, all the people falling out, fainting and carrying on over Michael Jackson, he had one security dude. So I'm gonna say Bill did his damn job.
He was right. He was
One dude, it ain't nobody. Now, I know it was more people. It had to be more security on staff, but they was his right one dude, Bill.
But Bill called him Joker all the time. He called him Joker. That was
they didn't explain that in the movie.
So yeah, again with the subtlety. For those who don't know, Michael Jackson had a very long history of being a prankster. He would call people all the time. He was just a big... So one of the things that I saw on YouTube, Russell Crowe said that Michael Jackson used to prank call him all the time. And they hadn't even met. He would just somehow whenever he was at a hotel, he would somehow get the number to the hotel and call him. And he would call in his deep voice.
Oh, wow.
Which is, another thing that's...
His regular voice.
Yes.
Not his...
They did not show or even allude to the fact that Mike had a different register for his regular speaking voice when people were not around. But yeah, he would call and prank people and he would do it in his regular voice. And nobody knew who he was. So, yes.
So anyways.
Michael Joseph was a very big prankster. So those were some of the things that I loved about the movie that I didn't think were, quite on par. But all in all, I think it was good. I think one mistake people are starting to make is they're trying to compare it to the TV show.
What TV show? Not the one with
The American Dream.
I don't
No, the one, they had the... yeah.
After the Flex Washington one, and love me some Flex. But yeah, I haven't watched Michael Jackson until yesterday because I just was like, if they do it like that, I'm just gonna be angry. But yeah, so.
And they did. I forgot to even add this. They did focus, or they did particularly mention the vitiligo.
They did. And they even showed it.
They even showed it.
It was a fool that showed it. And I was like, I ain't never seen Michael with all of that. He just was one day brown and the next day white.
Well, that gap between Thriller and Bad, nobody saw it.
Well, what they did show in the movie was him always putting on makeup. So maybe it did he gradually became white. But from what I saw, one day he was brown, the next day he was white, because I got a little bit of vitiligo right here on my hand. And I've had this on my hand since I was 16, and it is yet to spread anywhere. Do you see it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's that little piece.
I have a cousin who got vitiligo. I don't know if she always had it, but it seemed to affect her later in her years, and it did spread quite considerably. Like, she spent the majority of her life in one complexion, and now it's pretty much spread all over. So I don't know how.
I don't know. I'm 52. Again, this little spot has been here since I was 16. So I don't think I'm gonna be. I think if anything, I get vitiligo, as Uncle Ruckus say.
You heard of vitiligo? Shoot, well, I got vitiligo. It's the opposite of what Michael Jackson got. Lucky bastard.
But I don't think the vitiligo is going to spread on me, but I got a little tinge.
All right. Anyway, so what was your overall and final ranking of the movie?
Out of what, 5? 1 to 5? I think it was a 5. I'm not even focusing on all the things that they got wrong, all the things that they got right, or if they actually told the story 100% proper. The music was on point. The dancing was on point. I thought his nephew did an amazing job. The fact that he had been practicing for 3 years to get it right, that right there shows true dedication, that he wanted to make sure that he did it right, and he did. I was in the movie theater dancing and singing along. I was trying to be quiet, but I just really couldn't help myself. It was just that good. And I said, are they actually singing live, or are they playing like the music, from the Michael Jackson previous concerts? And they was actually singing, is what they said after. And I was like, oh, then they definitely really did a good job. I did want to backtrack though, and maybe it'd be in part 2. But what album was Remember the Time on?
Dangerous.
Okay, so they didn't get to that one. Okay, because I'm like, that right there, that was even the shame.
They got to do that right, because I will maintain, as great as the choreography was and Beat It and Thriller,
Remember the Time
was the best choreographed video I've ever seen in my life. I just watched it again today. That is the greatest choreographed video I've ever seen.
Yeah, so all in all, again, I think that it was a 5. I loved it. But I wasn't being overly critical, sitting there trying to be like, okay, I remember when Michael was born and he did this, that, and the other. And then when he was 7, he did whoop, whoop. I wasn't trying to dissect the movie like that. I just really just took it for what it was. And I think that it was really good. I enjoyed it. I would see it again. So that's my review. What you think?
I gave it a 5 as well. 5 compasses, so it is well worth the trip to go see it. Everything's more expensive: gas, movie tickets, food, the whole shebang. But if you scrape some nickels together, go see the movie. If you're a Michael Jackson fan, obviously you go see the movie. But if you just like to be entertained by a decent story and great music, go see the movie. I think Jafar Jackson did a phenomenal job. I mean,
the movie already made its money.
One of the biggest. It was the biggest opening day for a biopic in history.
Yeah.
So yeah. And one thing that I noticed in the movie as well, when they got to Motown 25. Now, everybody who saw Motown 25 knows that when he performed Billie Jean, it was lip syncing.
Yeah.
They actually sang it in the movies.
Mm.
So Jafar actually sang that in the movie, which was kind of weird, but whatever. But yeah.
Now he can't hit them all like Michael. He tried.
But he did a great job though.
But he wasn't hitting it like Michael. Like that's how I knew that it actually wasn't Michael. When some of the notes, I was like, yeah, no, that was not.
It's hard to hear Mike's notes, but. He did a good job. He did a good job. He did a good job with the hand moves. I mean.
Yeah, when he was twirling at the neck, I said, okay, looking just like Michael.
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Little Michael.
Yeah, Little Michael.
I can't remember the actor's name.
He did his thing.
I mean, I could have watched the whole movie just on the Jackson 5. Just with him as little Michael, because he did a great
They didn't
job.
mention the little cartoon that they had.
I mean,
The Jackson 5 was really actually quite big when you really think about it. They try to gloss over it like they weren't really a big group, but they really were. To get a little TV
I
show.
think they were the first ones to have a Saturday morning cartoon. The first black group to have a cartoon.
I was going to say, now don't forget about Fat Albert, because Bill Cosby had that before.
I don't know if that was before the Jacksons.
Well, that's something we need to look up. But yeah, I do remember them having that cartoon. And
They were huge.
They were.
And a lot of people don't realize they had a lot of hits and a lot of bangers. If y'all have never listened to the album Triumph with Can You Feel It on it, listen to the whole thing. The album is incredible. It's
Really need to
absolutely incredible.
Whenever, if they didn't play it on the radio, I hear it.
It was the album they put out right before Victory, which was pretty much the end of the Jacksons period.
And Michael really get on stage and say, "This coach,
You can look it up. You can look it up. He actually was on stage and said, yeah, I'm done. 20 years of these Negroes, I'm done. But, yep. 5 from me, 5 from her. Go see the movie. Tell us what you think. If you liked it, didn't like it, what was the differences that you noticed? What would you have done differently if you had been in charge of it? Anyway, I'm Darnell. This is Ayana. We are the Navigators. Peace.